Oh boy, this is going to be a fun one. Welcome back to the channel. This is Let's Be Real Brad. I talk about movies, TV shows, and do all sorts of fun and exciting videos on the channel. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button and drop a like on this video, as it would be gladly appreciated. Today on our Saw Weekly Reviews, we will be talking about the third film in the franchise with Saw 3. Saw 3 is a very mixed bag for me, as there is so much of this film I really enjoy, mainly with the story and how they handle most of the characters, especially with John, Amanda, and Dr. Lynn Dellen. But everything else with this movie is just not all that great. Without wasting any time, let's head right into the positives, starting with the acting. So far, this has the strongest performances out of the three films. This is because the film decides to focus on Jigsaw, played by Tobin Bell, throughout the film. He again delivers a fantastic performance, being very sinister, sophisticated, and a true sociopath. I bought every scene he was in, making the film work better than the second film's random characters we get. Shawnee Smith is also great, again playing Amanda, as she gets a ton of room to shine. I thought the new character in the film, Dr. Lynn Dellen, played by Bahar Sumke, also had a pretty solid performance as well. The second positive is the visual effects. As much as these traps are incredibly violent and gratuitous, I have to give the visual effects artists and production designers a lot of credit for making these traps and the locations they are set in look marvelous. All of these practical effects are all built by hand, adding these prosthetic and plastic fake effects. You see how over 15 years later, this film still looks great and honestly way too believable, especially the infamous brain surgery scene. I have no idea how that made it into the theatrical cut, but it was disturbing as all hell. All three of these films have stayed very consistent in how gross and disturbing all these films look, with this one being no exception here. Personally, I think this is the best looking film so far, with having the most significant budget up to this point. I really love the green, dark colored filter this film has that offers this sinister, cold feel. I really think this story is right up there with the first one, and I think that's why many people enjoy this a lot more than I do. All the story elements involving Jigsaw, Amanda, and Dr. Lynn Dellen are fantastic. So now let's get into the negatives, starting with the editing and directing. It's so annoying in your face that has some of the most cringiest montages. I think this film in particular has the worst case, especially toward the end, that went on for way too long. I don't know what their obsession is with this style of editing. I can't fathom it. Come on, tell me what the issue is. I found this film to not be as scary as the first film. At least in the second one, there was loads of tension and suspense. In this film, there is a lot less of that, where we start to head into the torture porn sequels that really got annoying pretty quickly. When watching the behind the scenes footage for this film, you can tell that this movie's focus was mainly on the traps and how creative they could get with them. I mean, they are imposing and extremely graphic, which I will give them credit for, but I felt as if the film didn't need to be this graphic because it really didn't add anything to the story. The only one I thought actually worked was the brain surgery scene that fit the narrative so perfectly, and it actually felt a lot more plausible because it was part of the main trap. I feel that all the movies will have a bunch of twists to them as we all go along with this franchise, which I'm okay with as long as the continuity is there and it sounds plausible. This twist was good, but it felt very messy and kind of all over the place. Lastly, I didn't care for the second subplot in the film involving the man. I understand what they were trying to do with it, but all of the traps felt pretty much almost impossible to win, which doesn't make for good suspense or tension. It is simply in the film just to extend the runtime and basically go from one trap to the next while telling this more compelling, exciting story on the side. Overall, I think this film is straight down the middle for me that has a pretty great story, being right up there with the first one because of Wan and Whannell creating the story for both. But besides that and the decent acting, this film isn't scary and just a shock gore fest that I know is only going to get worse in the later films. But with most of the traps practically being unwinnable, it becomes very stale and boring to watch people's bodies being decimated after a while. All I can say is it was much better than I was expecting. I am giving Saw 3 a 5 out of 10. So, have you seen Saw 3? And if you have, what did you think of the film and where does it rank in your Saw film rankings? Next week, we will be talking about the next film in the series with Saw 4, so be sure to check it out before next week's review. As always, I will see you all in the following video.